Happy Friday, guys, and welcome to another episode of In the Trenches. And basically, this series is simply about me sharing 30 years of my experience with you guys, and not so much to tell you guys, hey, my way is the right way or the wrong way. It's just letting you guys know that this is how I do things. And if someone can take something from me, apply it, and it improves them, then that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And my philosophy with the sport's not so much looking at it black and white, but really from the many shades of gray. And often we find our answers, within those shades of gray. And speaking of shades of gray, I've definitely have gotten a lot more gray over the past, few years doing videos for this channel, 3DMJ. With that gray comes more wisdom. So hopefully, I can keep sharing more of that wisdom with you guys, and you guys could benefit from it. And again, I really do appreciate you guys watching. So basically, this episode's on the way I kind of do my rack rows, or it's basically a version of a bent row, with the exception of you're rowing off of safety arms. It could be in a squat cage, squat rack, but basically you set up the safety arms and you row off of it, and really it eliminates momentum because the bar comes to a dead stop at the rack, and then you pull again, and it's hard to use leg drive. So the reason I love this exercise is because of that. No momentum. You can focus on quality, focus on form, and when those things are like rock solid, it really does help to prevent strains with the lower back, which we see a lot with bent rowing. So hopefully you guys could get something out of this. Hope you enjoy, and let's get to it. First up, I like to set the bar just below my knees or about to the mid shin area. Again, putting that bar on safety arms in a squat cage, squat rack. And then from there, I want to establish balance with the exercise. So I place my feet shoulder width apart or slightly wider. Then to the third step, it's bending the knees, getting the hips back. And this is really going to help establish a foundation for your legs so you can have a good base. And then I love to have my hands placed right outside my knees. And again, with this hand spacing, I could basically get good contractions with my back. The next step, number 5, arching the lower back, rib cage up. Again, this is to establish a solid base to pull from. And when you pull, you want to pull with the elbows, not with the hands. Lead the bar with the elbows. The bar goes into about mid belly, good contraction, and then from there we lower the bar back down to a dead stop to the rack, and basically it avoids that momentum, and it's hard to use leg drive when the bar is at a dead stop, and then you just repeat it by pulling back up. So some things to avoid with this exercise. First one is obviously rounding that back over. Anytime you round that lower back, you're at higher risk for an injury. So again, arch that lower back, rib cage up, and then look at the wrist here. You'll notice how the wrists are bent back. That's usually a sign that the weight is too heavy. You don't want that wrist to bend like that. So basically, if the wrist is bending like that, weight's too heavy, lower the loads down. So here's a live setup. Feet shoulder width apart, bend the knees, hips go back, hands outside the knees, arch the lower back, rib cage up, pull by leading with the elbows, basically lower the bar back down to a dead stop, repeat. So let's see how I did with the actual working loads and actual workout. And I want to cover, basically that low back arch and the chest rib cage up. So basically, it's going to protect our lower back because we have a nice base. You can notice how the knees are bent, the hips are back, and that lower back is arched. Again, when we're pulling, pulling this here, I am pulling 230 pounds. Picture the force, all that weight pulling down on your torso, basically. So picture that if my lower back was rounded over, my lower back is vulnerable because it's not contracted. I don't have my back arched. So just think of the force being put on that muscle when it's not really engaged. It's almost like, think of it like a crane. If there's a weak weld, let's say in the tower of a crane, let's say at the bottom portion of the tower, and at the top end of the tower you have, the cable, and let's say there's a gazillion pounds hanging from it. Think of the force on that weak weld. Eventually it's going to give. So just picture your lower back. If you don't have it arched, it's a weak weld, and all that, 230 pounds, it's pulling down on it, and it's going to give. And so you're putting yourself at risk if you don't have that lower back arched and the rib cage up. So it's really important that you have those knees bent, the hips back, the lower back is arched, and the chest is up, and basically you're leading with those elbows, and ensure that you never lose this posture that you're seeing here, and it's really going to help to negate those low back strains and injuries. So hopefully this helps, guys. Basically, this is kind of how I do my rowing when it comes to rack rows. So hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you on the next episode.